At a time long before cities, writing, or even agriculture, our distant ancestors faced a crisis so profound it almost erased the lineage that would become Homo sapiens. This was not a fleeting struggle for survival, it was a collapse so severe that nearly the entire ancestral human population vanished. What followed was not just survival, but a slow, uncertain climb back from the brink, a climb that set the stage for everything that came after. Modern humans trace their roots deep into the Pleistocene, a period marked by shifting climates and relentless environmental change. Fossils alone give us only fragments of this story, but the real breakthrough has come from genetics. By analyzing the DNA of living people, scientists can peer into the distant past, reconstructing population sizes and events that occurred hundreds of thousands of years ago. In a groundbreaking study published in Science, researchers applied a technique called fitcol to the genomes of over 3,000 individuals. This method doesn't rely on fossils. Instead, it models how genetic lineages coalesce back through time. What emerged from the data was startling. Between roughly 930,000 and 813,000 years ago, the population of early humans that would eventually lead to Homo sapiens crashed to an effective breeding population of about 1,280 individuals. In other words, more than 98% of our ancestors were lost during this era. This wasn't a brief dip. The bottleneck lasted for tens of thousands of years, long enough to leave a permanent imprint on the human genome. It was one of the most severe population crashes ever inferred for a large mammal, and it occurred long before modern humans even existed. What could have caused the collapse? The precise cause of this dramatic bottleneck remains uncertain, but scientists point to several likely forces. The Pleistocene was dominated by climatic volatility. Repeated glacial and interglacial cycles reshaped habitats, water sources, and food availability. Extended periods of cold, drought, or resource scarcity could fragment populations, isolating small groups and pushing them toward extinction. Environmental stress may have interacted with other pressures, disease, competition with other hominins, or even random chance events that disproportionately affected small populations. When numbers fall so low, the survival of a species can hinge on the luck of a few individuals. It is crucial to understand that this bottleneck likely involved ancestral human populations rather than Homo sapiens itself, which emerged much later, around 300,000 years ago. Yet the genetic legacy of this collapse carried forward into the species that would become us. The lineage that survived this dark epoch became the foundation for later evolutionary breakthroughs. Imagine a world where the human line almost vanished before it ever had a chance to flourish. One moment, there were hundreds of thousands of individuals. The next, a few thousand remained to carry the genetic torch. If those last lineages had failed, the story of humanity as we know it might never have unfolded. Here is the jaw-dropping moment. The genetic signature of this bottleneck isn't a minor footnote, it is a dominant feature of our evolutionary history. It tells us that the ancestors of all humans alive today passed through a crucible so extreme that if just a few more generations had faltered, our entire lineage could have ended. This revelation reframes our understanding of human evolution. Instead of a steady, inevitable rise, our story includes a near-collapse, an era when pre-humans were not flourishing pioneers but survivors clinging to existence. The modern human triumph is built on the backs of a few resilient individuals who endured when nearly all others did not. And this genetic bottleneck isn't the only one in our prehistory. Later events such as climatic catastrophes and migrations further shaped our species. For example, when Homo sapiens finally emerged in Africa, subsequent expansions out of the continent involved smaller founder populations whose genetic contributions spread across Eurasia and beyond. These migrations left signatures of reduced diversity in non-African populations, another echo of how precarious human survival could be. To grasp the significance of this ancient bottleneck, consider what it means for a species to drop to such low numbers. Genetic diversity acts as a buffer against disease, environmental change, and unforeseen challenges. When that diversity collapses, so does resilience. With only around 1,000 effective breeders, early humans were dangerously close to an irreversible dead end. Yet survival, against all odds, did occur. The descendants of that small population endured and eventually diversified into the mosaic of hominin species known from the fossil record. Over hundreds of thousands of years, these lineages adapted, spread, and evolved. This fragile thread of survival underscores a profound truth: the success of Homo sapiens was never guaranteed. At several points in deep time, the human lineage might have disappeared entirely, leaving no descendants, no art, no cities, no civilizations. The effects of ancient population crashes go far beyond simple statistics. They shape the very architecture of our genomes. The fact that all humans share common ancestors from a tiny ancestral pool means that many genetic traits, some beneficial, others neutral, were passed forward because there were so few alternatives. This shared heritage is why geneticists can detect a clear bottleneck signal in the DNA of people living today. The echoes of this collapse are woven into every human genome. Moreover, this genetic narrowing may have influenced the course of human evolution. With fewer individuals, random genetic changes can become fixed more quickly, potentially accelerating the emergence of novel traits. While speculative, it is possible that this crucible of survival contributed to the cognitive and cultural capacities that later defined Homo sapiens. Now imagine a parallel past world where the ancestral bottleneck didn't resolve in favor of survival. In that alternate timeline, the human lineage could have vanished. Another hominin species might have taken its place, or perhaps no species with our level of cognitive ability would have emerged at all. The archaeological record shows that multiple hominin species once coexisted. Neanderthals, Denisovans, Homo erectus, and others all navigated the challenges of ice ages and environmental change. Many ultimately went extinct, but their existence reminds us that extinction is the rule, not the exception, in evolutionary history. The genetic bottleneck in our deep past is a stark example of this rule. It shows that even lineages destined for greatness can falter. The survival of our ancestors was a narrow escape, not a foregone conclusion. Understanding this ancient near-extinction changes how we view humanity's place in the natural world. We are not the inevitable outcome of evolution, we are the survivors of a long series of challenges, some predictable, others random. The fact that our lineage endured such severe bottlenecks suggests that resilience, biological and cultural, has been a defining feature of our history. Yet, it also humbles us. If a species as adaptable as the ancestors of Homo sapiens could be reduced to a few thousand individuals, what does that say about the fragility of life? In a world now shaped by rapid environmental change, the lesson resonates with urgency: survival is never guaranteed. The ancient bottleneck that nearly erased the human lineage is a stark reminder that the story of humanity is not a simple tale of triumph. It is a story of vulnerability, resilience, and narrow escapes. Long before civilizations rose and fell, long before art or agriculture, our ancestors faced extinction and survived by the slimmest of margins. But the tale does not end here. What other secrets lie buried in our genetic code? What other moments of crisis shaped the path from deep time to the present? And if the past could produce such a dramatic near loss, what else might the evolutionary record hold waiting to be uncovered? The deep history of life on Earth is far from fully revealed. Every discovery brings new questions, and the shadowy corners of our past still conceal stories that could change how we see ourselves. If humanity almost disappeared before it ever began, then the next revelation might redefine what we think we know about who we are and how we came to be. Subscribe, and you'll understand why this story isn't over yet.